It shouldn't shock you that there are two sides of the Brock Purdy debate. That seems to be how it is when it comes to any 49ers quarterback discussion, dating back to these two guys, Joe Montana and Steve Young. So, why is anything different about Brock Purdy? So, you get it on both sides. You have national media discrediting his play, putting it up to the weapons around him, coaching, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And then you also have the other portion of media that are former players, Hall of Famers, and people who have played or coached at the highest level who see what Brock Purdy brings to the table and acknowledge that what he is doing is special. Well, we get a 14-year veteran, Chase Daniel, who has his own channel on YouTube and does a podcast with Trey Wingo, discusses how these talking heads in the national media are doing a disservice and spinning a Brock Purdy narrative that just isn't true. And he specifically calls them out by name and tells them, watch the tape, because if you did, you wouldn't feel this way. Take a listen to what Chase Daniel had to say right here.
You mentioned they go into this Thursday night game with San Francisco. San Francisco, the bye week came at the perfect time. They've put up two big victories. Brock Purdy, by the way, became the first San Francisco quarterback ever with a perfect passer rating with at least a minimum of 20 attempts. Both Joe Montana and Steve Young have done it in the past, Hall of Famers, but they didn't have at least 20 attempts. Brock is the first guy to do it in that situation. And we've said it all along, Chase. When the Niners were struggling through that losing streak, Brock Purdy was not the problem, and he proved today, once again, he wasn't the problem.
Well, that's the thing. Like this is probably something that gets my blood boiling more than anything in the world. The narrative around in the national media, the narrative around Brock Purdy, and it's big time talk show hosts. It's Stephen A. Smith. It's Shannon Sharp. It's all these guys, and they have a lot of power and influence. So people just turn on the tube and TV and watch them, and they believe them. I beg you to go in and watch every snap of every game that Brock Purdy has played and tell me that he does not deserve right now to be in the MVP conversation. I'm serious. Like the dude is balling out of his mind. And it just, and I tweeted this earlier and it went wild. And my tweet was this. It was like put some respect on Brock's name because the ease at what he is doing is insane. And what do I mean by that? Like he makes things look easy as an NFL quarterback. Some of these deep dagger balls where he's layering throws over linebackers. He threw a dagger back across the field when Brandon Ayuk was outside of a defender, and Ayuk still had to cross the defender's face and get inside before a linebacker blew him up. Like the throw that I saw like right there, like it's insane. Look, I get it. The biggest thing is like people think the system is what's making Brock Purdy. I disagree. I think Brock Purdy's making that system everything that Kyle Shanahan dreamed of. And when people say different, I say, go watch my film breakdowns. Go turn on the film. Actually watch the dude play football because it is poetry in motion.
Yeah, listen, and I want to be clear. It's great that you're promoting your own stuff, and if you want to do that too, or just watch the All 22. Just go watch the All 22 tape that's available on NFL.com. You'll see it, all right? You'll see it right there, the things that people are talking about.
Chase Daniel, Brad Graham, the SF Niners shaking hand emoji. This is honestly how I feel. It's how I felt for a long time. And it's what I am starting to like talk about. And we've done videos on this because, part of the channel is taking opinions from other places, sharing them and reacting to them. And just like we're doing with Chase Daniel, we're reacting to what he has to say. And the reason why I like what he has to say is because I can relate to it. That's how I feel when I hear these people talk about this and talk about that and pull this nugget of stat from somewhere and be like, well, see, this is why he's not that good. And it's just like, watch the tape, man. Just watch football. But the problem is with that is not everyone knows what they're watching. And especially people with microphones in front of their face. That's abundantly clear from training camp. It was crystal clear that you could tell who understood what they were watching at training camp and who didn't. And that's why you had two extremely differentiating evaluations come out of training camp from different people. It's because not everyone understands what they're seeing, even if they are standing 2 feet away. They just don't know what they're watching. And that's not no fault. That's not a fault to them. They just don't know ball like that. And when you talk to people who actually do know ball, you're hearing the same things. You're hearing the same comments and the same talking points and the same observations. That's where you start to pull from other sources to kind of backfill your own opinion and your own evaluation. And that's how you kind of cross reference and check yourself on evaluations is you start to identify people you trust and how they see the game. And even people that I trust, I don't necessarily agree with them 100% of the time because I'm a firm believer in believing your eyes when it comes to football evaluation and no one else's. And you can always bring in additional support or kind of bounce things off other people and kind of get an opinion. But I always felt it's really important to stay true to your evals. Watch what you see and believe what you see. Now, it's not always going to be perfect and you're going to have questions and you might not feel confident on certain things. But when you look at guys like Chase Daniel, who have played in the league for 14 years, played quarterback at a high level for a long time, they'll be able to tell you how they see it. And those are the types of opinions you can turn to and trust. You know, doesn't matter who it is. We've already listed all the names of people who have come to the defense of Brock Purdy to try to tell you he's the real deal. And that's fine if, you are hesitant or just want to wait and see. I have no problem with that thought process. But I do love that he goes out of his way to knock down some of the talking heads that have turned it into a consistent talking point to try to tear down Brock Purdy's game. So, as you guys know, I've been in the trenches, I've been in the weeds with it. That's why I feel strongly about it. And so, anytime I can come across a player with actual experience at the position, I want to bring it to you and I want to share it with you because just like Chase explains, you are met with so many opinions and so many different uh, voices that sometimes you do have a hard time understanding of who to believe and what to kind of equate as what. So I thought this, obviously was a good take. And I appreciate what he said of kind of calling out the narratives because we live in a narrative driven world and it has clearly stuck to Brock Purdy because people understand the 49ers quarterback position is a hot topic and it continues to be, but for good reason because we're debating how good Brock Purdy really is that's what it comes down to. And Chase, among other people, agree that Brock Purdy is a really good quarterback. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments below. And as always, make sure to like and subscribe for more updates.